Well, after being in a rehab center for about in excess of 100 days and proving that I can do a lot of things independently, I go to hospital or doctor's visits and all on my own. And all the many, many things I've done over my past years, and also in the, if you've watched any of my podcasts, you see that they're all independently produced, directed, and about everything else by myself. So my capabilities are pretty strong still today, and they haven't changed a whole lot. Well, the complaint is, of course, that you have to have relatives come check you in, check you out, which makes no sense. There's concern about driving, which makes no sense. So it kind of gets to be a kind of rat race. So I just want to show you my history for those that are interested.
Ain't no use in diving. What's the use of diving? Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. The buzzer told the monkey, you are choking me. Release your hold and I will set you free. The monkey looked the buzzer right dead in the eye and said, your story's so touching, it sounds just like a lie. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay right. Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Broody, bree-doo, broody, bree-doo, da-da, straighten up and fly.
So, Gwyneth Paltrow, take it away. Tell the story, the actual story. What's happened? All with facts, figures, and people and places.
Golden Years of Global Communications Growth, 1990s. I was reminded by a consultant associate, Paul Case, that all the travel was first class, business class, 5-star hotels and restaurants, and flights even occasionally on the Concorde. Main reason was that was all that was available for the business traveler to avoid major health, security, safety, delays, or inconvenient location issues during the telecom gold rush. One flight even served caviar. Again, much of the third world was made up of the haves and have-nots. No middle class, no Holiday Inns or McDonald's until later. Some may even call it the Gilded Age of telecom. The Plaza Hotel, which I frequented in my 30 visits to Buenos Aires, had a who's who of famous guests. See Wikipedia famous guests. From kings to presidents to astronauts. Louis Armstrong, Neil Armstrong, Charles de Gaulle, Indira, Gandhi, Charlton Heston, Jacques Cousteau, Mikhail Baryshnikov, Jonas Salk, Rock Hudson, Juan Carlos I of Spain, and Queen Sofia of Spain, Aristotle Onassis, Theodore Roosevelt, and Bob Dylan. Dorman was expert on Argentine tango and taught Madonna when she was making Evita. Tango shows and bars are aplenty for the novice and professionals. Later, I have a story about the U.S. Argentina ambassador and driver in his black Mercedes picking up Sid Shreve and me for dinner. How he got rock star treatment. No association with ugly American bullying in history. Capitalizing on the global telecom perfect storm. A true story. When you're hidden, not hiding out, even though I did once work at the CIA in the Ozarks in Lairs Lair, many of your past real-world experiences go unnoticed and success is ignored. Opinions and relevance become problematic. No matter that today, with a good broadband connection, you can live and work anywhere, as well as do research with the best of them. The fact is I did it before there was commercial broadband adds to the intrigue. Remember, pioneers are people with arrows in their backs. Computer pioneers transform life. They are leading the digital revolution. They create a disruptive force. A lair is a place where a wild animal, especially a fierce or dangerous one, lives. Sounds like a razorback. Places to hide out in the Ozarks. Beckham Cave. Denver millionaire John Hay, one of the founders of Celestial Seasonings Tea Company, became concerned about the prospect of a Soviet attack sound familiar and put several million into a home built to weather nuclear winter. Actually, I'll tell the story on how I sold technology in over 50 countries before commercial internet from the Ozarks. Today, everyone is convinced rural broadband is the panacea. Reality, it is only an enabler. You can lead a person to broadband, but you can't make him think or use it. Similar to the government burning money trying the same strategy time and again. One easy test: community has a high percentage of broadband availability, but still has a high poverty rate? Look up insanity in the dictionary, and you'll find rural broadband failures burning your money, but now at gig speed. Or for Yogi Berra yogism enthusiasts, it's deja vu all over again. You've got to be very careful if you don't know where you are going, because you might not get there. The future ain't what it used to be. My real-world experiences included business travel to following locations. Already discovered that Sao Paulo, Montreal, Vina del Mar, Mendoza, Pelotas, Montevideo, Punta del Este, Agra, Panama City, San Jose were left off. Real-world experiences. In addition to the national coverage, there were state newspaper articles on Taiwan, Time Warner, and technology, all used effectively in our marketing. Nice publicity for Harrison as well. Note below, Andrea Harder did a great job capturing the computer utilities of the Ozark story. One of the last great Arkansas investigative reporters. Saw this? Crimes of Mena, Gray Money. As a result of Andrea Harder's investigation, it was determined that the written legal opinion referred to in the Coral ad fa documents did not exist. Wow, never happens today. Difference was, Andrea did an interview and then did her own investigation. Today, you can write the story for the media, doing their research, and they still rely on false perceptions from tabloids, reason they have lost most, if not all, credibility. And subscribers! Our CableWorks system sale to Prime in Taiwan included a visit to Harrison by their president. That, along with UIH in Hungary, got the attention of the market leader in California. We sold systems in over 50 countries in less than 5 years. Check out the systems and note the range of global acceptance. The multiracial, multicultural, multinational, multi-political boxes that were checked. Why? CableWorks was first on the IBM series, iMini computer and PC desktop, and compatibles, designed for operator real-time entry, so we had many additional reasonability checks to avoid bogus entries. As you might imagine, many of the homegrown systems were plug-and-play, allowing for theft of service, and even theft of money in the office. The investors in cable TV were not interested in buying systems where Uncle Charlie or best friend, Fred, maintained data on a spreadsheet or simple database. CableWorks had the technical capability to control and operate addressable interfaces to most set-top box manufacturers with real-time access to subscriber accountability, and best-of-breed add-ons including interactive voice commands, video on demand, and key 911 marketing information. Our design included a revolutionary property passing or location file, not found on the large Service Bureau mainframe platforms serving the largest cable MSOs, limited by legacy design and computer memory costs, reason for Y2K issues, to active subscribers and past subscribers only. A location file was essentially a 911 file, providing penetration percentage, competitive alternatives, and best opportunities for growth CapEx capital investment. Great audit information for owners, potential buyers, bankers, and investors. Becoming a 10-plus year overnight success. Before the Build-A-Better, Mousetrap, and Field of Dreams, entrepreneurs get too excited about how easy it is to take an idea to market. I'll briefly oxymoron explain how we became the unlikely player. In a small community, handling a diversity of business is survival. I provided computer accounting services for manufacturers, distributors, retailers, schools, pharmacies, doctors, water billing, and cable TV. Businesses included Claridge, Harrison Furniture, Pace, Tankinetics, Anchor Post, Cicero Bible Press, Lair TV, Lair Oil, Sam Alexander Pharmacy, Boone County Tax Records, Harrison School, North Arkansas College, Schermerhorn's Convenience Store and Cave, City of Valley Springs and Western Grove, amortizations for First Federal, Dog Patch and Marble Falls, Twin Lakes Cable TV, Ozark Orthopedics, Bell and Hobarock Surgeons, and a mailing list and labels for a real survivalist. Parallel to my standard computer accounting applications, I was developing a customer care and billing system for Twin Lakes Cable TV, owned by Bob Wheeler. Family was a pioneer in cable TV, starting at $3.50 a month for services, now in the $200 range. Reminder, initially all content costs were paid by advertisers, not subscribers. At that time, Bobby, son of Bob Wheeler, saw the need. I didn't. Besides, how do you get an office of 3 elderly people trained to handle it? Took a lot of time in the office to gain mutual respect. Again, eliminates the Better Mousetrap and Field of Dreams approach. Important to get first system installed. And successful. Sounds simple, too often ignored today by startups? I learned customer service and the importance of a positive subscriber experience from 3 elderly ladies, respecting they had actual intelligence before today's AI, artificial intelligence. Next stage was satellite and the Ted Turner era. Ted was cable when cable wasn't cool. In 1976, the FCC allowed WTCG to use a satellite to transmit content to local cable TV providers around the nation. Cable started transition from mom and pops to big business. Addition of pay services HBO and set-top boxes opened up revenue opportunities. Funny sidelight, privacy became a big issue. No one, including preachers, wanted people knowing they were watching our movies. Key to selling systems nationally was the second location. Supporting system in same location lacks the support challenges of remote phone support. I've always made that one comparison to Walmart's second store in Harrison. Coincidentally, my second location was in Rogers. In my global business development presentations, I always reference 2 companies with Harrison connections, Dunkin' Parking Meters and Walmart Store 2. I have seen Dunkin' parking meters below on left in numerous cities, Buenos Aires and Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. I always checked the parking meters wherever I traveled. David Glass plaque at Store 2. Many U.S. systems were sold by the success of Rogers, and later its acquirer Donry Media Group. Locals have heard more about Don W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium than Donry, and a reference letter from their controller. Below. Also an opportunity to rip IBM over their installation at their North Bay cable operation in Vallejo, California. IBM and Donry Media Group system in Vallejo, California, located in the San Francisco Bay Area adjoining Silicon Valley. First step in creating national and global credibility for an Ozark-based technology company. Note to startups, there are times when your loyalty to a community is not reciprocated, so you move to where it is. Reason people relocated to Silicon Valley. This was the perfect time to do that and maximize my return. Finding non-paid evangelists is the biggest key to success. Bigger than investors. They are gold. Startups, listen up. Prior to the purchase of the Rogers system by Donry Media Group, we did a demo there for Jake Landrum, VP and General Manager of Midcoast Cable TV, Houston, Texas area, on October 17, 1981. I remember dates since I was hustling to get to Arkansas, Texas game in nearby Fayetteville. Significance was that Hogs beat the first Longhorns. Jake was a member of the Texas Cable TV Association, of which he was president for several years. So once we had installed cable, I and the Midcoast systems in Wharton and El Campo, we were committed to exhibiting at the annual Texas show in San Antonio. Texas was the best state show. Jake was another evangelist who sold many Cable Eye and CableWorks systems in Texas for us. Regional shows, Eastern Atlanta, Western Anaheim, Newport RI, Atlantic City when it was booming, and the national various locations. Ray Ruiz, former IBMer, now resides in Tulsa. He was a deal ringer for Alan Alda, personality and speech, one of the more interesting people I met on the exhibit floor was Mark Cuban. He manned his booth and was great conversationalist, as well as participant on panels. Always respect his opinions. Credibility was built by showing up and participating, again before social media. A lot of fun events and opportunities to meet a lot of nice people. Many were sports-related. Picture with Peyton and Archie Manning was taken shortly after Brandon Burlsworth tragic accident movie grader from Harrison. Part of our discussion, young Jay Billis, Digger Phelps, and Robin Roberts when she was at ESPN Go Hogs before GMA. My favorite was a one-on-one Broadway Joe. He was there promoting a Sports Legends cable channel. Obviously, my conversation was about 1964 when Arkansas beat Nebraska in the Cotton Bowl while Bama was beaten by Texas in the Orange Bowl. AP changed selection process after that. He was great friends with Danny Ford, who coached at Arkansas. Professionally, the most interesting was Jim Kramer, CNBC. I recall waiting for his live show to end, along with the wife of Larry Flint. Another exhibitor? In the truest form. Ads were simple, again, no social media. My brother was the FBO at local airport, so money better spent traveling to sales opportunities. One was charter to Denver and Time Warner, another to Zenith in Chicago. Two of the more important, allowing us to take 4 to 5 key people. One important group of smaller systems was Time Warner, National Division. After an extensive review and audit of our system, we were chosen. This became an auspicious occasion for our entry into the international market. Time Warner National Division was located in Denver, Colorado. UIH predecessor to Liberty Global was headquartered there as well. Time Warner was an early global player in the Far East. International business, Canada. One of our first international installations was in frozen Val-d'Or, Quebec, Canada, facilitated through IBM in Toronto. IBM Publication Solutions, IBM Canada, limited mention proved very important. Gold mining was an integral piece of the local economy of Val-d'Or, close to Arctic Circle. Approx. 300 miles north of Montreal. My software developer did the installation. I opted out for a warmer installation. Even the gold mining wasn't an attraction to me. Ashan worked with QO on the Oakville sale and installation, helping us with cultural faux pas, including one made by our engineer who was not allowed through Toronto Airport Customs, so Ashan had to pick him up at Niagara Falls. Our engineer grew up in DC, father worked for NSA, but lacked ability to interact socially, a nerd. Ashan was Indian nationality. On my visits to Toronto, I found Ashan to be a great host. Once dining in the restaurant atop the CN Tower. Today it costs $250 minimum. Important lessons learned were working with all our large Canadian banks on bank drafts and pre-authorized checking. Took it to another level. Mix of French with English language became another new issue. Also VAT, value-added taxes in Canada, which proved invaluable in our international system. Computer Service Bureau versus software development. I found a world of difference in owning a computer service bureau and developing software. Really? Both are technology. Coding to do same application in-house was minimum 3 times more to avoid all the bogus entries, avoided when entered by experienced Service Bureau data entry key punch staff. Managing and rewarding developers, much different than customer service and Service Bureau. Creative people are artists. They are your company's differentiators. They solve problems in much less time, have to be rewarded accordingly. Recognition is a big part. Social skills for developers are typically lacking. They are finicky, sometimes about fear of flying, not wanting a credit card must for travelers just to rent a car, and not wanting to hear criticism from people with less technical skills. Having a brilliant son and a daughter with special needs gave me some balance in recognizing and rewarding accomplishments. In a small company, everyone's important, and everyone sells. In a small company, people must be cross-trained. Swiss Army knife approach gave us a huge advantage internationally over larger companies requiring an entourage of specialists. I, on occasion, handled installations, same for developers. Important to get the immediate feedback on what works and what needs to be added or improved. Same for tech support and marketing calls. It was important that everyone wanted me to be successful in my live theater performances. Reasons for international business development. Although Canada was a natural for expansion, the next steps weren't. It was a two-edged sword when smaller systems began selling to billion-dollar companies. We were important for audits, but large MSOs had long-term contracts with the big 3 service bureaus. Once a Times Warner executive VP wrote the cable data president that they could lean a lot about customer experience from us. In article below, I point out importance of location or passing file. There was a lot of consolidation in the U.S. markets with systems valued at $1,000 per sub quadrupling to $4,000, with new inexperienced operators with big bucks entering the business. For example, Paul Allen, Microsoft billionaire infamous for Charter acquisitions. I saw Charter from a customer care and billing opportunity then later from UBS Financial Services when Allen used a sham bankruptcy to eliminate billions in his personal debt, hidden by all the bigger 2008 bank failures. I saw it up close and personal from an advisor and working with analysts and investment bankers. Irony was that many people thought I was suing myself when I wrote about article in Business Insider about why I was suing Paul Allen. Unless you were totally aware of my history and cable genesis. Back to the future, when smaller system using our tested and accepted audits were being bought and rapidly converted to the large service bureaus. Big 3 was Cable Data, CSG, and Convergys handling all the major MSOs Comcast, Time Warner, Cox, TCI, Adelphia. Decision to focus on international business development became a reality. Note survey of current MS supplier gave us a 3rd place tie. That was only in systems, not subscribers. The Essex companies, 56, 235, Glenville Road, Greenwich, CT0 6831. Largest systems, Hendersonville, NC Gulf Breeze, FL Milton, FL Mobile County, AL Union City, TN, NY Times Business People, cable system founders sell out at a hefty price. Paul L. Field and David W. Pardner, who started a cable television company from scratch just 8 years ago, are selling it. Most of my communications was with Dave Pardner, now deceased. Interesting part was doing training in their offices in Greenwich. one of the richest cities in America, while they used one of the cheapest PC compatibles, Radio Shack computers, in their cable offices. They knew our system would get them their best price. Donnery Inc., 95, 210 East 2nd Street, Bartlesville, OK 74003, Rogers, Arkansas. C4 Media Corporation, 78, 450. Maple Avenue, EA, 22000s, Princeton, KY Largest Systems, Excelsior Springs, Mo Smyrna, GA, Edenton, NC. While working for the CIA in Langley, I rented a house in Vienna. Recall driving past the Bobby Kennedy home in McLean on my way to my office. Later owned a townhouse in the country, at that time, Centerville near Dulles. No subway at the time. American Television and Communications Corporation, 2 Time Inc., 160 Inverness Drive West, Englewood, CO, 80,112, became Time Warner National. Adelphia Communications Corporation. Countersport, PA, 16915, Falcon Communications, 12 Los Robles Avenue, Pasadena, CA, Fanch Communications, Inc., FGM, 360S, Monroe Street Suite, 330 Denver, CO 80209, sold to Charter, Wisconsin Cablevision, Winnebago Drive, P.O. Box 1167, Fond du Lac, BY 54935. Donald G. Jones, President. Don and his brother, Tuck. Largest Systems, Fond du Lac, Wee Sheboygan, Dewey Wise Bend, Wee Menominee, Wee Antigo Y. All were IBM Series I, about another 200 systems with similar size and requirements. Lot of cable cowboys and unique stories. I recall staying at the ranch where The Misfits was filmed with Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable. Very rustic. The Misfits, filmed mainly in the Reno area, was the only movie Monroe and Gable appeared in together, and it was the last completed film for both. Another involved installing cable works at Hickam AFB, Pearl Harbor. Manager provide a house on the beach and a convertible. Suggestion for those who love dark and cold days. We installed our customer care and billing system in Barrow a few years ago. No day rates when a day might extend to over 2 months, bi-monthly. Associate John Bartlow made the trip. My name was on all the tickets and reservations, but had to cancel at last minute. Sorry I missed it, I think. Distance from Harrison, Arkansas to Barrow, Alaska is 3,286 mi. Main point is you can travel to most major cities in the world within the same time you can get to Barrow from Harrison. International business development, going global. I'm providing more details on my early global system sales since I was entering a new market with a new product working from a technology island, Ozarks, against companies in technology-savvy locations, Silicon Valley, etc., with a lot of support. New York importance for entertainers was framed by Frank Sinatra in New York, New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you. I would suggest at that time, pre-internet, it would have been if you can make it in the Ozarks. You can make it anywhere. With one slip, you're out of business. Now things have changed. Time to revisit. Finding your beach in the Ozarks. Next sail after Canada was past the international dateline in tropical Saipan near Guam. That sale came from a simple direct marketing mail out. Saipan, a U.S. Commonwealth, benefits from many U.S. services including Postal Service. Spoke English, used U.S. currency, even played the top 40 on their radio station. Simple enough. Right! My initial flight there didn't require a passport. I connected via Honolulu, 8 hours plus from there, crossing over the international dateline. Most economical customer support was via fax machine, since calls to Saipan were $3 a minute and pre-commercial internet. My choice, owner's prerogative, was to handle the Saipan installation. Another interesting memory was flying to Tokyo, spending a couple of days, then flying to Saipan Tinian, near Saipan. With all the Japanese tourists flying that route now, cheap golf weekend and World War II memorials and casino, there must be thoughts by travelers, back to World War II and B-29's bombers flying that same route. Enola Gay took off from nearby Tinian to bomb Hiroshima, similar distance for flight from Little Rock to Los Angeles. Owner Lee Holmes's involvement with Guam and Saipan cable TV stretched from 1971 to 1997, when the company was sold to Marianas Cablevision. That company is now absorbed into Docomo Pacific, which is in turn owned by the Japanese telecommunications giant NTT Docomo. Prior to the availability of content via reasonable satellite services, Holmes recorded broadcast TV on VCR tapes in Los Angeles and shipped them to Saipan, so typically there was a 2-week delay. Sports and live news events weren't as pressing in the relaxed tropical environment. Larry Hillblum was the big investor in Mariana's Cablevision. Hillblum the H in DHL Freight. We sold and installed our customer care and billing system to both island operators, even though they were bitter enemies above. Split expenses on trips there, just respected the privacy of each. Saipan and story about Larry Hillblum, life on a 50-square-mile tax haven. We could ship forms there via U.S. Post Office. King Larry is a good read for entrepreneurs. Also check out video. Other stories included NBC Dateline, ongoing personal battle continued until Hillblum's untimely death in 1995. Other wealthy people hid out there, president of Computerland in search of a tax haven. Next was Lee Bertman in the Caribbean. Lee founded C4 Media Cable, with headquarters in Vienna, Virginia, then one of the 75 largest U.S. cable companies. Following the sale of C4 Media, Bertman founded Vision Dominicana in the Dominican Republic, which was sold to a local businessman. Bertman also founded Caribbean Cable Communications, which provided telecom services in Anguilla, Nevis, and Montserrat. Bertman sold the company in November 2013, following 25 years of operation. Chiwo analyst John Bartlow, who still works out of Harrison, can confirm the story of his installation trip. Sales to operators in the Caribbean had their intricacies as well. Once an owner, Lee Bertman, asked our installer to bring equipment as luggage to avoid custom delays. Our installer was locked up behind a chicken wire fence in La Romano, Dominican Republic, until operator bailed him out. Just their way of doing business. Getting imports the cheapest and fastest way. Great to know after the fact. He also wanted to pay cash on delivery. That didn't work. I found out later, Bertman had left C4 not under the best of terms. Hiding out in the Caribbean had its similarities to Saipan, Dominican Republic, Anguilla, Nevis, and Montserrat. Although through other owners we did most of the islands. U.S.-based international investors, so I determined direct sales weren't going to work, particularly if owners weren't U.S.-based. I recall an international wire transfer taking 30 days to complete. Tracking to confirm reasons was a lot less sophisticated at that time. No doubt, currency fluctuations due to hyperinflation had the biggest impact, so the acceptance of our bid by UIH in Hungary was welcomed. UIH, headquartered in Denver, came to us via a consultant whom we had developed a business relationship with, all reported in a national cable publication titled Unlikely Player. Coincidentally, our consultant Paul Case's office was next to UIH controller Mike Fries. Mike Fries on the right became the right-hand man of John Malone Middle and the chief executive officer and vice chairman of Liberty Global, a world leader in converged broadband, video, and mobile communications. Paul made my introduction to Fries in one of my many visits to Denver. Another nuance was, we processed Bartlow's passport in US and sent it to him in Dominican Republic, so he could travel directly to Budapest. He met consultant Paul Case and our key developer, Jamie McIntyre, in Budapest. Something only a small company could have handled. People don't understand where our exposure lies, said Mike Fries, the company's new president and chief operating officer. Most of our subscribers are in Tier 1 markets, not in the meltdown markets. Then came John Malone's takeover, and Liberty Global followed. Our system locations included Hungary, Romania, Spain, Philippines, Austria, Peru, and Tahiti. Gene Musselman, managing director, European Broadband Operations, was another key person we worked with. Later on in a meeting in Brazil, he commented on how pleased he was on how soon they were able to get Hungarian system in the black using our system. Musselman, a Vietnam vet, had a unique dress and style, with his black hair and mustache, who managed with the Charles Bronson attitude. Middle East from Kuwait to UAE to Bahrain via Mario Pino at Etisalat Zaksat Director, Business Development and Strategy, Acting Director, Platforms Management, IPTV, and OT. Red Arrow QO points to CableWorks exhibited in Zikvision booth. Etisalat is the strongest brand in the Middle East and Africa and the fourth strongest telecoms brand in the world. I traveled to Kuwait City, and our sales VP helped with exhibit in UAE, and our developer handled installation in Bahrain. Mario Pino now resides in Orlando, Florida. Recently, we have been involved in several IoT Internet of Things and healthcare projects, all described later. Common in the Far East business culture are welcoming signs. In China, unlike India, I avoided any discussions on social or political issues. Time Warner, along with set-top box manufacturers Motorola and S. Investments in the Far East served to protect my system from piracies. Other systems followed in Taiwan, China, Indonesia, and old USSR countries. John Klug, a billionaire, once the richest man in U.S. and founder of Metromedia, invested in systems throughout Russia and used our cable system. We had a Russian come to Harrison for training. No mention of CIA or KGB. Kluge controlled Metromedia International Telecommunications Inc., has wireless cable, communications and media operations in Eastern Europe, and the former Soviet Union collapse of the Soviet Union sequence of events that led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union on December 31, 1991. The former superpower was replaced by 15 independent countries: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Estonia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan. I recall our analysts going on site in Tashkent, Uzbekistan multiple times, flying a rickety Russian airline, another doing an installation in Moscow. Locations: Belarus, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Latvia, Ukraine, Lithuania, Novgorod, Russia, Slovakia, Uzbekistan. All happened over 6 to 8 months. My meetings were in New York City, former Arkansas Governor Jim Guy Tucker and James Righty Hong Kong Lippo Group in Jakarta. Righties are Chinese billionaires Lippo Group Hong Kong. If you ever flew into the old downtown HK airport, you flew by the Lippo Group Towers, a landmark. Our key software developer made the trip to Jakarta, met his future wife, and now is employed by Jack Henry and Associates in Monett, Missouri. I recall being in Jakarta over the U.S. Thanksgiving holidays once, and enjoying Thanksgiving meal at a country kitchen? In 1994, Sekai Country Kitchen International opened its first restaurant in a truck stop. In Wyoming, added a 220-seat outlet in Jakarta, Indonesia. Islam is the largest religion in Indonesia, with 86.7% of the Indonesian population identifying themselves as Muslim in a 2018 survey. Indonesia is the most populous Muslim-majority country, with approximately 231 million adherents. John Paul Hammerschmidt, Republican, and Jim Guy Tucker, Democrat, were great friends, and I was their liaison at times. Also did natural gas to diesel, renewable energy, and led business development for Jim Guy and WIT Global Partners. China's Sunday night TV show Below was shown primetime. It was all entertainment. My part was tasting Chinese foods and the humor of misidentifying it. The studio outside Shanghai was enormous, and security checks were extensive. Guess the security wasn't that great, since they failed to determine that I had once worked at the CIA. Note, since I wasn't good at chopsticks, I informed my associate translator handled the Kuaisi Chinese Kuaisi. Great Wall is located 73 kilometers 45 miles from Beijing city center, taking 2 hours to get there by taxi. My surprise was how steep it was. Be prepared for a strenuous walk. One evening in Beijing, my associate and I were walking through a city park to meet some business opportunities for dinner, and a group of youths recognized we were foreigners and started yelling English curse words. Surprisingly, some adults immediately took them to task. I commented that in the U.S., I doubted that would have happened. Probably would have been gunfire. We would never approach a gang in the U.S. China is all about having presence in country. Doing a marketing presentation in Beijing was interesting. Their presentations were highly technical, while mine was more about performance, ease of use, and results. Think of it as someone selling Coca-Cola with an analytical approach explaining ingredients, while successful marketing just says things go better with Coke. Interesting opportunities in India. Elite was a conglomerate representing our system. Indian businessmen are very aggressive. A lot of interesting conversations about arranged marriages, sacred real cows not eating your pets, and eating socially with hands. Professionals that I worked with had spent time in us, so conversations were open as expected. Going to fancy restaurant and eating with hands. Another advantage of growing up in the Ozarks. I hired a driver take me from Delhi to the Taj Mahal, Agra. Everyone said it was best to take train, but was pushed for time. Easy to understand after dodging animals, vehicles, and accidents. Taj was pure, but outside the grounds weren't. Group Bull became our distributor in Latin America. Group Bull was headquartered in Paris, France. They were our best distributor, with key people in Argentina, Brazil, Peru, and China. I recall we came upon a cockfight in the streets of Lima, Peru, as well as manual laborers with picks and shovels laying fiber for broadband. Always expect the unexpected. Leapfrogging, Uruguay's ranch riding horses with gauchos on the pampas. On one visit there were crank phones, and a couple of years later they were wireless. recommended by LinkedIn, Real Insights to Bridge the Connectivity Divide, A. Rakuten Symphony 11 months ago, Telefonica, A Story of Constant Transformation, Jose Maria Alvarez Palais 4 years ago, My Journey and Insights During My 3 Years as CTIO, Christoph Eschlimann 3 years ago. Families who worked on the ranch were furnished food, sheep almost daily, and lived in lean-tos on the backside of ranch. I was curious about living conditions, so I went inside and they were watching TV. Really no power lines? They ran on batteries that were recharged weekly. With all the flat land, they could receive TV stations from Brazil, miles away. Yogism you can observe a lot by just watching. I always comment on cultural differences between Argentina and Brazil. Brazilians are a more genteel influence of Japan, Portugal, US, while Argentina is more smash-mouth, in-your-face, Spain, Italy, Germany. If you don't recognize it in your business approach and presentations, you are dead. Note the small boat below that I went fishing for piranha on near Manaus, map below. I had thoughts about needing a bigger boat, particularly when you see all the big boats on the Amazon coming to market. Manaus is located in a free trade zone with global world-class manufacturers. No sweatshops, better known to many as the former world rubber capital with its rubber tree circa 1879 to 1912. Latin America, all third world countries, is top-down selling, starting with political leaders. I've even seen it work in the colonies. After finding out Ambassador James Cheek had Arkansas ties, establishing contact was a high priority. His obituary lists Richard Cheek was United States Ambassador to Argentina from June 1993 until December 1996. We went to dinner one evening, around 9 p.m., normal hours. He picked me up and my consulting associate, Sid Shreve, at the Marriott Plaza in his black Mercedes with a driver. When we arrived at his favorite restaurant, he was treated like a rock star. He had supported a down-and-out soccer team, San Lorenzo, that he helped raise from the ashes. U.S. Ambassador James Cheek, a fan of the San Lorenzo soccer team in Argentina, was taken to task by Argentine President Carlos Menem for criticizing the standard of refereeing in his country. Washington Post. If you check the guestbook signings, there are numerous messages indicating how popular he was. Oscar Schwartz, Buenos Aires, May 16, 2011. James R. Cheek was a friendly, pleasant, and down-to-earth human being. He was the most popular of all American ambassadors of the last 50 years. He acted like a local, and his inclination for San Lorenzo Football Club made him one more of us. Very often present in football matches and poor provinces, he will be remembered as a very good friend of Argentina. We will miss Mr. Cheek. Speaking of cultural differences and not eating your pets, following is a delicacy in Arequipa, Peru, enchanting city in the Andes known for volcanoes. Our clients wanted to surprise us with Kai. Presentation grabs your attention. Okay, Kai is guinea pig. Notice Kai for two is on the menu at Andes Cafe for $60 in Houston, Texas. Doubt if they ever call it guinea pig? I return to my conversations in India about not eating pets. Note significance of Taiwan contract. First Chinese translated billing system, both sides of Taiwan market and China mainland. Shortly afterwards, we were contacted by market leader, Cable Data, whom we had successfully competed against, to meet and discuss how we could work together. Always nice when a billion-dollar company come knocking. I made multiple trips to Taipei, Taiwan. Besides the headquarters of Prime Cable Management Systems, there are several set-top box manufacturers that I scheduled meetings with as well. Distance from Taiwan to mainland China is approximately 100 miles. China and Taiwan concerns are often compared to current events in Russia and the Ukraine. Selling company next stage after initial meeting to see how we could work together. All the success drew attention from largest cable customer care and billing system headquartered in Sacramento. It wasn't a hard choice or easy choice when they made offer to merge. Key point is when you are contacted by a larger company, a deal can be made on your terms, particularly when you are having success competing. Access to capital in Arkansas was incredibly difficult. We had been passive and reactive in sales, so this opportunity allowed us to take it to the next level. I stayed on for 5 years. Initial agreement was 3, primarily in global business development, while keeping the title of president of QO. Sidebar, name was changed from Computer Utilities of the Ozarks, Inc. to QO, Inc. to drop the Ozarks reference. At management meetings, I used humor, asking what QO stood for. My answer was just CUO. Also, the Arkansas connection, told them I was taken on tour of Napa Valley but just tasted, didn't swallow Clinton was president. One meeting I observed, it seemed strange. Someone from London Cable Data International, headquartered in London, was speaking on revolution, while someone from the Ozarks was talking on technology and innovation. Another irony was the 50-page asset purchase agreement not pictured. That took multiple iterations between their law firm and mine, Rose Law Firm. My son, Craig Lair, was an intern there, while finishing his law degree at Duke. He worked under Wilson Jones. Wilson is a nationally renowned tax, trust, and estates lawyer with a subtle and wicked sense of humor. My previous connection to the Rose Law Firm raised concern that there might be a conflict of interest. In the 1980s, the FS-LIC was shutting down overextended S&Ls, and one of those hit was close to home, Guarantee Savings and Loan. My involvement was that my company had a balloon loan with Guarantee Royce Barrett. Also, we had bought computer time for our service bureau from them, actually having access to their facilities after hours, and we were later involved in the purchase of their computer when they upgraded. We were in a major transition from computer service bureau to a software development business, in essence 100% local businesses changing to 100% not local. We were developing financial alternatives via Jerry Damrow in Little Rock. It wasn't happening fast enough for the FS-LIC, so I was faced with bankruptcy pressure by the FS-LIC's local legal representative, who most didn't realize represented the Rose Law Firm partners Hillary Clinton, Webb Hubbell, and Vince Foster. They had the FS-LIC agreement to handle the shutdowns. Another piece in Whitewater? I got help from my congressman JPH to work out arrangements to pay in full loan at a slower pace, not a balloon amount, which I did. So when I asked Wilson if that was a problem or conflict, he replied, "It's a dead issue." I never asked if he was referring to Vince Foster. I just know I love the way Wilson lawyers. For those who prefer a video, the following encapsulates the journey. See if you can find any familiar faces. Jerry Damerow, Craig Lair, as well as other locals, Ed Alspaugh, Chamie McIntyre, Sandy Lair, Jerry Kreiner, Carolyn Green, Loretta Eddings, John Bartlow, Carol Warren, photographer, Lee Dunlap, chamber officials, Kay Maris, president, Cable Data, Randy Linticum and Henry Walton, and several other executives. Here's my latest project. U.S. Department of Agriculture is delivering on its promise to expand markets by investing $1 billion in partnerships to support America's climate-smart farmers, ranchers, and forest landowners. The new Partnerships for Climate-Smart Commodities Opportunity will finance pilot projects that create market opportunities for U.S. agricultural and forestry products that use climate-smart practices and include innovative, cost-effective ways to measure and verify greenhouse gas benefits. USDA is now accepting project applications for fiscal year 2022. Looking for partners. Lot of mental heavy lifting required. Real-world experience and success required. The Ozarks can become the next rural Silicon Valley gold rush. Lot of key players already in place. Telehealth, Health Institute, Alice Walton, Walmart, remote living and working with access to world-class mecca of outdoor activities and facilities, Johnny Morris, Bass Pro, telehealth, education, economic development via telecommunications, Elon Musk, SpaceLink, Starlink, agriculture, Tyson's for starters. All the key areas of health, education, agriculture, economic development, handling epidemic impact, and quality of life will be covered. Agriculture is the main source of national income for most developing countries and U.S. rural areas. American agriculture benefits from world trade. Next gold rush? Technology, blockchain. Cryptocurrency is the holy grail for global commodity trading. Grain, poultry, beef, and pork. Not if, but when. Similar to Benjamin in the graduate hearing that it was all about plastic for the older crowd and Uber and Airbnb for the younger. Pilot project that can be replicated regionally, by state, nationally, and globally. I'm very familiar with how to take a rural business global, all in a 100-mile corridor of the Ozarks. From Crystal Bridges to Big Cedar, from Bentonville to Branson, includes World Championship golf courses, several lakes, and Buffalo National River, mecca for sportsmen and women. Eureka Springs, Little Switzerland of America, because of its mountains and Victorian buildings, floating on the Buffalo National River celebrating its 50th year, a wilderness retreat at Big Cedar Lodge, designed with the Adirondack Mountains in mind and numerous lakes. Prior to writing it off completely, you might check back to my CED magazine article in 1999 when I predicted companies like Facebook, Amazon, Google, and YouTube that were in their infancy, or didn't yet exist, were primed to capitalize on behavioral marketing and targeted ads. Cable was missing it, telephone companies were missing it, and printed media was missing it. Look for CED magazine article Satisfaction Guaranteed. Points made that in the early days, television content was paid by advertisers, not subscribers. Cable and other media was shifting to a subscriber-paid model. Prime example, ESPN and sports. Subscriber rates increased exponentially, while Amazon, Google, YouTube, and Facebook took their ad dollars. The revenue gold mine is buying habits and preferences. Simply put, behavioral marketing and targeted sales. This was forecast in May 1999, in the primitive stage of social media. Failure for MSOs to capitalize opened up opportunities for new social media companies to capture the digital ad dollars, and my company to gain a competitive advantage with our early entry in the global market. Importance of staying relevant in business. How do you remain relevant in days of change and pandemics? Dealing with unverified storytelling of the media. Verifying storytelling with facts. Don't minimize past experiences. Successful audits and reviews of your work are gold. Importance of successfully working with multicultural and multiracial societies. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if, Rudyard Kipling, realization that rural broadband is the enabler and applications are the panacea. Blockchain is the holy grail for global commodity trading, grain, poultry, beef, and pork, along with using cryptocurrency and other digital assets to facilitate transactions. Products and services to monitor special needs and aging in place via non-intrusive motion detectors using an artificial intelligence algorithm based on users' normal activity. I've had a system in my house for 3 years. Very helpful when our special needs child is left home alone. Get updates via smartphone. Facilities IoT Internet of Things solution designed to provide property and facilities management teams with the data to be able to rapidly diagnose and address these maintenance issues, as well as analyze historical data AI to help create more efficient properties. Ways to use Alexa, all the health monitoring devices. Apple Watch might have prevented recent death of celebrity Bob Saget from head trauma, how that information might be used by remote resorts as well as people living in rural locations. AI for automated data-driven knowledge generation and AI orchestrated troubleshooting. Mission to minimize service efforts, reduce support costs, and achieve superior operator and customer experience across all interaction channels while ensuring the provision of excellent technical support and flawless operation. Utilization of a neuroinformatics research platform to develop quantitative tools for clinical assessment and treatment of Parkinson's disease patients in rural Arkansas. Opportunity to gain a competitive advantage with our early entry in the global market. More recent business development opportunities. Arkansas Academy of Computing induction, Blair. Presentation for Blair at the induction ceremony for the Arkansas Academy of Computing, October 29, 2021. My work experience with companies developing futuristic ideas that now have urgency. New ideas coming to market. 1. Grainster Trading Department Marketing is a global leader in the procurement and sale of grains, chilled and frozen meat, poultry, pork, seafood, feed, and fresh and frozen vegetable products, along with their respective derivatives. Our trading associates hold with over 6 years of experience in these commodity groupings. At Grainster, we have built a new type of network of experts around the globe, serving the world's food suppliers and customers, with diverse products and services that help them grow their protein or agribusiness. Our suppliers count on us to market their goods competitively and creatively inside a now changing market landscape. Our customers rely on us to find the right products with the best value. Whether dealing with frozen and fresh protein and vegetable products, all of our clients depend on our highly skilled team to help them seize opportunities and make good business decisions. After determining food service losses are going to extend for at least another 12 to 14 months, what are the adjustments to avoid excess inventories? Product adjustments to commodities or finding new markets for pricier products? Blockchain is the holy grail for global commodity trading, grain, poultry, beef, and pork, along with using Bitcoin and other digital assets to facilitate transactions. 2. Sensera. Social distancing from aged parents is now more than proximity. You can live next door or across the country with similar restrictions. As I have aged, I have become more interested in ways to monitor special needs and aging in place via non-intrusive motion detectors using an artificial intelligence algorithm based on users' normal activity. sleep habits, eating, restroom, and leaving residence, and returning on a defined schedule. 3. Trust Tab, smart thermostats, smoke detectors, flood freeze sensors, door locks. HVAC maintenance presents a constant challenge for property managers. They usually need to wait on tenants to report any maintenance issues, meaning that many malfunctions can go undetected for weeks, even months at a time. Aside from equipment issues, properties also face the challenge of residents intentionally adjusting device settings, creating conditions that can be detrimental to facilities. 2 common occurrences include turning off equipment altogether in the winter-summer months and excessive usage during peak times. These tactics, if left unmonitored, can lead to costly property destruction resulting from mold or water damage. TrustHab is a robust facilities IoT solution designed to provide property and facilities management teams with the data to be able to rapidly diagnose and address these maintenance issues, as well as analyze historical data to help create more efficient properties. The solution leverages real-time equipment monitoring, proactive maintenance alerts, analytics, and insightful metrics to empower property managers to increase NOI, reduce staff overtime hours, and prevent costly repairs. 4. Solvatio. Solvatio provides leading solutions for automated troubleshooting and malfunction resolutions in technical systems and devices. Originally founded as spin-off of the Department for Artificial Intelligence and Applied Computer Science of Würzburg University more than 20 years ago, Solvatio continues to push the boundaries of AI for automated data-driven knowledge generation and AI-orchestrated troubleshooting. It is our mission to minimize service efforts, reduce support costs, and achieve superior operator and customer experience across all interaction channels while ensuring the provision of excellent technical support and flawless operation. Targeted troubleshooting for improved agent productivity and maximized resolution rates. Solvatio Help Desk will enable your help desk agents to resolve even complex technical customer problems, just as your most experienced support experts would. Initiated by a customer's problem description, Solvatio's automated troubleshooting procedures will guide your support agents efficiently through problem resolution. Solvatio's powerful automated decision-making features do the job and are fully definable by your support experts via the Solvatio Studio design component. Solvatio Help Desk provides your help desk agents with powerful automated troubleshooting capabilities. 5. University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences UAMS study. Utilization of a neuroinformatics research platform to develop quantitative tools for clinical assessment and treatment of Parkinson's disease patients in rural Arkansas. Purpose of study is to try to understand how Parkinson's disease affects movements and speech and how to measure these things. Next, spinal cord stimulator. Addendum. Received unsolicited from a distant cousin September 18, 2022. I need to get 30th redacted on LinkedIn just so he can read your amazing stories. That they are real is, well, better than fiction. One day you will be recognized as the Mark Twain of this generation. Definitely to words as Norman Rockwell was to paint. Thank you for continuing to share, Herb. I've always heard such nice things about you, but you've been this mysterious distant cousin. To be truthful, many, many more things could have been said. Herb Lair, you are so nice. Glad we have been able to connect. Capitalizing on the global telecom perfect storm. Update August 2022. Came across a less than 10-minute YouTube video summary that I called What I Learned from Piranhas About Surviving on the Less Traveled Road, mix of personal and business slides, mainly business. Also helps determine if you want to invest the time in the details. Cliff Notes version. Parody for management meeting about 3 years 1997. After merger with Cable Data, now Amdocs apologize for lack of political correctness. Action taken to fire customer. And quality at end fade out was customer objecting for being asked to go to Sacramento headquarters. Parody was of this video that was made when we merged in 1994. Update. Sorry to hear about the death of Brent Renaud in Ukraine. Brent Renaud, a 50-year-old filmmaker, was killed when Russian troops opened fire, according to Andriy Nebetov, the head of Kyiv's regional police force. Brent had a Harrison, Arkansas connection. I communicated with him about his article in the Boston Globe, which I felt he had misidentified and misrepresented the local community, similar to other reporters relying on unsupported tabloid headlines. He expressed a willingness to listen, and did. All you can ask. His willingness to give his life for a cause more than you can ask. March 12, 2022 marks the second anniversary of coronavirus 19, Most sports fans remember it from the lockdowns, NBA, and SEC basketball tournament cancellation. It was for real, and much more serious than anyone ever suspected. Not just days, weeks, or months, but years. Importance and priority placed again on rural broadband. Now quality of life has become a reality for large corporations. Employees love working remotely, home or location of their choice. Analytics confirm less cost and more productivity. The 30th anniversary of the USSR breakup, something I know a lot about. I had boots on the ground in a remarkable time, 1990s. My story is how someone residing in the Ozarks before, during, and after the internet revolution became personally involved. Really? That could never happen? With the pandemic, I have some time to reflect, talk with people, and connect the dots. New, how Ukraine is using social media to confront Russia in front of the world. NBC News. Latest global tragedy. Putin is attempting to restore the USSR. It ain't going to happen. Why? Slava Ukraini. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, invoking the wartime defiance of British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, vowed Tuesday to fight to the end in a virtual speech to UK lawmakers. "We will not give up and we will not lose," he said, giving a day-by-day account of Russia's invasion that dwelt on the costs and lives of civilians, including Ukrainian children. "We will fight to the end at sea, in the air. We will continue fighting for our land, whatever the cost. We will fight in the forests, in the fields, on the shores, in the streets," he told the packed chamber, which greeted him with a standing ovation at the start and rose again at the end. "I was doing global business development when the breakup of the USSR happened. The 1990s era of telecommunications' global impact on countries and culture are unmatched. Glad I've had the real-world experience to remind people about the history of our country's telecom involvement and its connection to the recent invasion of Ukraine. Modern-day reenactment of the U.S. Revolutionary War, Putin as King George in Hamilton, or click on watch on YouTube below. Updated article and reformatted with a priority on global telecommunications and its impact on current world conditions. I have listed many of the people that I worked with and have had recent communications, all willing and able to authenticate events described. All are amazing people and had important roles. Brief review. After watching the invasion of Ukraine, I came away with some additional thoughts, including my own boots on the ground, real-world experiences during the perfect storm 1990s of world telecommunications, and the dissolution of the USSR, December 26, 1991, that Putin is attempting to put back together to recreate the USSR. Put toothpaste back in the tube, genie back in the bottle, unsee something, Humpty Dumpty, King Richard III, or any other idiom that can't be reversed. What impact has satellite and cable had on the world, good and bad? Remember, the world was taken by surprise when, during the night of November 9, 1989, crowds of Germans began dismantling the Berlin Wall. 13 months later, on December 25, 1991, Gorbachev resigned and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics dissolved. What was different? People were able to see something they had only read or heard about previously. Now can be transmitted from the smallest devices, watches, phones, etc., how Ukraine is using social media to confront Russia in front of the world. NBC Sunday Today, Willie Geist clip, winning over world opinion. I was reminded by a consultant associate, Paul Case, that all the travel was first class, business class, 5-star hotels and restaurants, and flights even occasionally on the Concorde. Main reason was that was all that was available for the business traveler to avoid major health, security, safety, delays, or inconvenient location issues during the telecom gold rush. One flight even served caviar. Again, much of the third world was made up of the haves and have-nots. No middle class, no Holiday Inns or McDonald's until later. Some may even call it the Gilded Age of telecom. The Plaza Hotel, which I frequented in my 30 visits to Buenos Aires, had a who's who of famous guests. See Wikipedia famous guests, from kings to presidents to astronauts. Louis Armstrong, Neil Armstrong, Charles de Gaulle, Indira Gandhi, Charlton Heston, Jacques Cousteau, Mikhail Baryshnikov, Jonas Salk, Rock Hudson, Juan Carlos I of Spain, and Queen Sofia of Spain, Aristotle Onassis, Theodore Roosevelt, and Bob Dylan. Dorman was expert on Argentine tango and taught Madonna when she was making Evita. Tango shows and bars are aplenty for the novice and professionals. Later, I have a story about the U.S. Argentina ambassador and driver in his black Mercedes picking up Sid Shreve and me for dinner, how he got rock star treatment. No association with ugly American bullying in history. Unlikely players. List of credits. Run the credits. Background of the key players. Randy Linticum, Cable Data, Senior VP Cable Data and President of International Billing. History, September 1994, Cable Data acquires computer utilities of the Ozarks, Inc. September 1998, Rancho Cordova, Calif. Used to successfully establish a beachhead in many countries. USCS International Inc., parent company of Cable Data and its billing processing sister company, International Billing Systems, intends to merge with DST Systems Inc., a billing and software provider to the mutual fund and insurance businesses. Pioneer in global cable customer care and billing, DST Innovis was acquired by Amdocs for $238 million on July 5, 2005. This deal was done in stock. Amdocs Limited is one of the world's leading providers of billing, customer relationship management (CRM), and order management software systems to the telecommunications industry, a multi-billion-dollar company with over 24,000 employees. Circa 1993, Linticum understood that the legacy service bureau approach wasn't going to work internationally. I couldn't have worked with anyone better in the sale and merger. After Cable Data, USCS International, Linticum was chairman and CEO National Water and Power, utility software and services provider. Randy has since been a partner investment funds, produced movies, and most recently has found his calling as the executive pastor of the church at the Red Door. Enjoyed our conversation recently catching up on our families. He didn't even remind me that he was with me when the Razorbacks lost their first SEC home game in Bud Walton to Alabama. Being a Jayhawk, he always had a wry smile in reflection about that. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Really? How about Woo Pig Suey? Jim Guy Tucker, former Arkansas governor, U.S. cable operator, and investor in cable systems in U.S. and Jakarta, Indonesia. Best at handling efficiency and expediency over government restrictions, also fought lobbyists for not doing business the same way it had always been done. Jim Guy is innovative and currently heads up chairman, River's Edge Ventures Inc. Investment Management Consulting Co-Founder Advisor, Culinear Inc., Wireless High-Speed Data Backhaul Technology, Founder Director Consultant Pacific Genetech Limited, Hong Kong, and subsidiary Arkansas Biosciences International LLC, Little Rock AR Vaccine Research and Development. CO Founder, Partner, WIT Global Partners, Chairman, Broadband Systems LLC, Investment and Management of Cable Television, Software, and Internet Properties. Experience in Argentina, China, Egypt, France, Indonesia, Italy, Jordan, Malaysia, UK, USA. As governor, was very helpful in my battle with state sales tax administrator on the difference between computer accounting services and a printing business. Wife Betty is an expert on cable TV. In fact, our cable system software was demonstrated to her, and longtime business associate Dwight Harlan on the kitchen table at the governor's mansion in Little Rock. Routinely, I get a cell call after my LinkedIn articles with encouragement, ideas, or stop beating your head against a wall advice. Former Democrat U.S. Representative who remained great friends with local Republican Representative John Paul Hammerschmidt until his passing. Jim Guy avoided the former politician traps of becoming a lobbyist, or worse, a talk show host. Bobby Wheeler, wife Pat Wheeler, from the days when mom and pops owned and operated cable TV. Wheeler family was a pioneer in the industry. Bobby, son of Bob Wheeler, saw the need for an in-house system at the time I didn't. Cable was $3.50 mo for Springfield, Missouri, TV channels 70 miles away. Besides, how do you get an office of 3 elderly people trained to handle it? Took a lot of time in the office to gain mutual respect. Again, eliminates the better mousetrap and field of dreams approach. Paul Case, Denver and Maui, nobody's smarter at combining media applications with technology. Internationally recognized expert in back-office systems for the pay television, wireline, wireless, and media industries. Before and since founding Spectralliance in 1997, was a senior IT executive in the pay TV and media industries, acting as the CIO or CTO of 6 U.S. and international companies, ranging in size from raw startup to billion-dollar international telecom operators. Paul owns and operates Kalani Distilleries on Maui, which produces Old Lahaina light rum and dark rum. Had an office next to Mike Freeze in the early days of UIH, and as they say, the rest is history with John Malone and Liberty Global. Key to getting initial contract with UIH. Paul mentioned that due to pandemic influence on tourists in Hawaii, he has been spending more time in Denver attending to family health issues. Sid Shreve, Phoenix and Salt Lake City, There's no better rainmaker for Latin America. Member of Mormon Pipeline, Indiana Jones type piranha fisherman helped me locate the tomb of Evita in the Recoleta at the Duarte Mausoleum. Grew up in South America, fluent in Spanish and Portuguese, worked for HP, and knew founders Hewlett and Packard personally. We made an interesting nerve-wracking sales trip to Caracas, another with buzzards following us in remote Costa Rica watching and waiting for a mistake. Adventurer. Understands the necessity of top-down selling. Introductions and relationships are at the highest government and corporate level. His son Scott Shreve is the Chief Executive Office of Crossover Health in Orange, CA, a next-generation healthcare delivery. On occasion, we would spend time on the ranch of his boyhood friend in Uruguay riding horses with gauchos on the pampas. I recall one time there were crank phones, and a few years later, they were wireless. Also, gaucho families working on the ranch, living in lean-tos and watching battery-powered TVs, receiving signals over rabbit ears from a TV station in Brazil. With Sid's mastery of Argentine Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, and cultures, he was often mistaken for an Argentine. We work well together. Yogism, you can observe a lot by just watching. John Bartlow, developer, installer, and the best at customer experience. Now he's Vice President of Subscriber Technologies in Harrison. John is still active in sales, development, marketing, and support of cloud-based subscriber management. Has experience nationally and with global installations, Caribbean, South America, Eastern Europe, and old USSR countries. Never flinched when asked to do a project. Key person in the success of QUO. I believed in walk-around management style. My most productive time was sitting in his office discussing and solving a range of topics. Jerry Kreiner, engineer, best nerd, had enough academic hours for PhD in electrical engineering. Grew up in D.C., son of an NSA analyst with Newton County, Arkansas ties. Currently resides in Harrison, involved in many global travels, Canada, Saipan, Caribbean, South America, and Russia. Jerry was in old USSR countries for over 6 months. Loyal and smart employee faced with the unpredictability of low blood sugar that created behavioral issues. Having a daughter with special needs allowed me to be more patient and assist with social and business faux pas. It was challenging for all, but rewarding. I recently had a mysterious late-night call, and he reminded me of all the places he had been. I was particularly interested in Moscow and his trip to the Ukraine. Said he was in old USSR countries for over 6 months. Jamie McIntyre, best at creating intuitive, fun solutions for complex problems, where even the least trained customer service representative could use system effectively immediately. Jamie has published games, and now is senior manager, software engineering at Jack Henry & Associates. When I was developing cable TV software, I met with Jack Henry and Monet at the recommendation of IBM circa 1975. Jack was just starting his business. Memorable meeting, although we never connected on my cable software development. Software development is a lot like watching sausage getting made. Leave your ego at the door and enter into a no-holds-barred discussion finding a solution best for clients and company. No one goes into a back room and magically comes up with a solution. I refereed verbal fistfights at the highest level. Jack Henry, now deceased, grew JCI to $1 billion company. Ed Alspaugh came to Harrison on his own. New company from his days at Cable Data, great addition for his professionalism, industry knowledge, industry contacts, and media marketing. Besides, he met future wife, Lisa Valines, my niece who owns Sister's Flower Shop next door to our offices. I can always take the credit and blame. They now live happily ever after in a home, hesitate to call it a cabin they built in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Carol Warren, trainer and installer who once traveled on the Concorde for a meeting in Vienna, now a missionary who travels regularly to India and Philippines. A very caring person who never left her work unfinished. Never a complaint for her effort. John Janopoulos, Vice President Sales QO, now retired in Boise ID. Working from the Bay Area, John represented QO at numerous conventions throughout the world at Dubai, Beijing, Spain, and met with customers and prospects in the Philippines, Hong Kong, Jakarta, Taiwan, Paris, Vienna, London, Budapest, Romania, and Poland. John was now retired, the consummate professional. I talked with him recently, and he hasn't missed a beat. Daughter is a graduate from the Naval Academy and works in D.C. John has 4 grandchildren. Now travels for fun and family, fat, happy, and healthy, according to last doctor's visit. Mario Pino was Director, Business Development and Strategy, Acting Director, Platforms Management, IPTV and OAT at Etisalat Zaksat in Kuwait City. Etisalat has been ranked as the world's strongest telecom brand and the first in the Middle East and Africa region. Mario Pino now resides in Orlando, Florida. Recently, we've been involved in several IoT Internet of Things projects. I met Mario in Kuwait City after the Gulf War, proud of Cuban heritage and always puts family first. Seventh-day Adventist who is unavailable on Saturdays. Jerry Damrow, great advisor and longtime friend. Jerry is an honest, straightforward leader who has vast experience in business development. He helps others chart progress by looking forward to the next steps and helping them get there. His understanding of the financial side of business was a great help to me when we worked together on M. Bacon Jr. Ditto from me. Jerry taught me efficiency, so I made no effort to write something original and funny about a CPA. But then again, it's hard to write something original and funny about a CPA. Craig Lair, former Rose Law Firm intern and partner. Now CFO at largest private company in Arkansas. Okay, in addition, he's my son. As an entrepreneur, I was always looking at the positives, while his job, as an attorney, was to taper it with things that could go wrong. Think of it as attempting to advise Roy McAvoy in Tin Cup as he hits balls into the lake. Somehow we got father-son roles reversed. Wilson Jones, smart lawyer with a sharp wit, partner at Rose Law Firm. Dead issue when I ask him about a potential conflict of interest. More later. Henry Walton, cable data manager who moved to Harrison and was very helpful in the transition, gave me the opportunity to develop international business. He adjusted quickly to Harrison in a small company with all their quirks, never attempting to overshadow either. Unfortunately, it went unsaid what a great job he did. My bad. Rick Brown, cable data sales report. Proximity to Bass Pro headquarters was a big incentive for RIC. One of the perks was playing top of the Rock Par 3 golf course with him. Now sales director at Amdocs, so the adventure continues. Rick's a survivor for good reasons. He cares. Bob McKenzie, cable data marketing from afar, EVP business development at Metatope Biosciences, vice president Amdocs. Wealth of marketing knowledge, who always found a way to make it fun. Mike McGrail, President and General Manager of Cable Data Division of U.S. Computer Service, after serving as Chief of the Cable Data's International Billing Division in London. Britt, who once came to Harrison, stayed at Big Cedar, and commented on how area reminded him of New Zealand. Pushed Cable Data for merger with Kuo. I made numerous trips to CDI Cable Data International Headquarters in Farnborough near London. Opportunity to interact with sales and marketing executives at classic venues. London Theatre was a plus. Proved to be a misfit, we would have had more corporate success under Linticum. John Michael Hudson, CPA for Twin Lakes Cable TV, professional, and more importantly, a lifetime friend. Always there, no matter the situation. Same here. Pablo Abdian, great person first. We had numerous meetings and business associations in Buenos Aires, Harrison, and Washington, D.C. Always on top of South American opportunities in politics, particularly Argentina. I stayed with his family while in D.C., where he lived for 3 to 4 years. Also came to Harrison and attended a Razorback game. Woo Pig Suey! Lynn Armstrong, mysterious and was the first hired in-house developer. I called him All SWC because he had attended several universities in the old conference. True artist with all the quirks, including fear of flying, and didn't have or want a credit card, hard to travel without one. No longer assembly line management mentality measured by results. Actually, I had gotten some exposure with our TV and appliance business when my dad hired a tech who fixed things so fast, people thought they were overpaying for their repairs. Lynn was mentioned in the invaluable Donray Media reference letter. I found recognizing him for his skills was just as important as pay. He disappeared, and even with all the social media, I have not seen or heard from him in over 30 years. Something only Lynn could appreciate. Carolyn Green, we had a live person taking all calls. Sales and support calls were handled or directed to me. Carolyn was great at handling people. None better. Dwight Harlan, owner of Cable TV Consultants Inc., Jakarta, Indonesia. Demonstrated our system to him on the kitchen table at the governor's mansion. Once ate Thanksgiving lunch with him in Jakarta. Acquainted me with the Muslim culture, dominate religion, praying 5 times a day facing towards Mecca. Kay Emasan, Canadian evangelist for QO and Cableworks. Got us a mention in the IBM Publication Solutions. Always a great host. Rich Fickle, CEO and President at National Cable Television Cooperative, SVP GM of Interactive Television, and hits at &T Broadband and TCI. Key for set top box interface specs. Hits connection proved invaluable. GL Wright, VP Zenith Electronics Glenview, IL led global sales and worldwide business development for advanced analog set-top boxes for the pay television industry, including wireless and wireline network architectures. Full business P&L responsibility. Responsible for operational management and revenue generation for the Americas, specializing in conditional access and security for video and IP. Always helpful promoting our cable system, an addressable interface to their set-top boxes. I once flew all our key people to Zenith's headquarters in Chicago. Very rewarding. Steve Necessary Scientific Atlanta, now part of Cisco Atlanta, SA and Motorola dominated global market. EVP Product Development and Management Cox Communications. Necessary. Gene Musselman, Managing Director, UIH UPC, European Broadband Operations, was another key person we worked with. Unusual Charles Bronson management style that most people feared and remembered. Srini Garudachar, India Director Strategies, Biz Dev, and Operations at Grameen Intel JV Company, worked at Alit. We met in New Delhi at a convention. He had once lived in the US, so we talked openly about arranged marriages, cows not eating your pets, and Nehru jackets. Gustavo Otino, Ingeniero Commercial Bull Argentina, affirmed great endorsement of Cuo. Bull was our best distributor. Marco Moscatelli, Cable TV Argentina, CEO Cablevision, CEO and Automobile Club Argentino. Understood the Argentine cable business from the inside better than anyone. Brian Boyd, Director, Program Management in Demand Networks, NYC, was there during 9/11, causing major impact on his life. Cameo, Jim Kramer, CNBC at the Cable TV conventions, Charter CHTR early recommendations, used ingenuity to meet him. Joe Namath, 1964 controversial national championship at Alabama. Kept in contact with former teammate Danny Ford when he was coaching Arkansas. Saw him standing by himself near a booth at a cable show and proceeded to tell him how Bama lost to Texas in the Orange Bowl. He politely corrected me, since he was playing, but appeared to enjoy the exchange. Last year, the AP declared national champion before bowls were played. Arkansas had beaten Nebraska in the Cotton Bowl and had missed much of the national recognition from it. Peyton Manning, connection to Harrison Brandon Burlsworth's story, and joint commiseration of missing the opportunity to play with him on the Indianapolis Colts. QBs like great offensive linemen. Technical recognition. John Chamberlain assistance with putting my bio together for recognition by Arkansas Academy of Computing as a state pioneer. Andrea Harder and Dr. Stewart, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, great job of reporting. Gave Harrison and QO headlines that I still use today. Best at their business. Well-researched and written articles. Missed in today's journalism. Michael Farrell, Senior Finance Editor, Read Business Information, SR Finance Editor, Multi-Channel News. Great journalist who has withstood the test of time. Unfortunately, most don't. Craig Moffat, Senior Analyst, Moffat Nathanson. Best cable analyst, bar none. Always enjoyed one-on-ones. In memorial, Ambassador James Cheek, Argentina, key contact, more later. Read all the guest comments in his obituary to better understand his unmatched popularity in Argentina. Great friend whom I enjoyed accompanying on a flight from BA to Little Rock. Tom Curver, Cablevision reporter, an institution in the cable trade press called QO, unlikely player. Another great reporter. He preferred the title of reporter over journalist. Jake Landrum was a cable TV pioneer starting in the business in Roswell, NM in 1960. He was instrumental in establishing cable systems in many areas before moving to Wharton in 1979, where he was VP and General Manager of Clive Runnels's Mid-Coast Cable TV Systems. He was a member of the Texas Cable TV Association, of which he was president for several years. He was also a charter member of SCTE. Jake worked in the industry for 40 years before retiring in 2000. Key evangelist for QO, genuine cowboy. Larry Hillbloom, H&DHL Freight, unmatched story of entrepreneurial success and failure on Saipan. Loretta Eddings, none better at customer service. Surprising, but well-deserved, success as president of Subscriber Technologies. Keith Montgomery, business manager who helped meet cable data report requirements and handle international visitors. His wife Sharon had a kidney transplant, so was helpful when our daughter had one. Royce Barrett, CEO and president of Guarantee Savings and Loan in another instance, a former savings and loan executive in Arkansas, has asserted that the firm had a conflict after it represented him and his family in many matters. The executive, Royce Barrett, said Rose switched sides in December 1985 and represented the government in taking the Savings Association away from the Barrett family. Mr. Barrett charges that it was improper for the firm to side against his family once it had handled confidential matters that could be involved in the government's lawsuit. They drew our wills, they knew our assets, they helped set up our trusts, Mr. Barrett said, adding that they had also set up the Savings Association's holding company. I felt like it was a conflict of interest. Gave me access to guarantee building after business hours, bought computer time for service bureau. Only local loan on company, all others were based on personal assets. Carlos Iglesias, Bull Argentina, great supporter of Cuo, always enjoyed his friendly smile and willingness to go the extra kilometer. Special recognition. Jay Gadberry, president of Gadberry Financial Advisor on a wide range of subjects from finance to blockchain to Razorbacks. As a great friend, always awaiting and enjoying my latest rant. Tuhin Vermani, MD, PhD Associate Professor, Director of Movement Disorders Program Department of Neurology, UAMs, diagnosis and treatment of my Parkinson's, ranging from Botox shots in my feet to spinal cord stimulator. Always looking for new treatment ideas. Wife, Sandy, best partner and friend in the worst of times and the best of times. Always expressing her candid opinions. Understood how important building relationships was in sales. Connected with cable owner spouses at conventions, even if only about family and fashion. Remember once in Buenos Aires she was communicating with a Spanish-speaking only executive's wife about clothing and pointed to her clothes and said, "Mumu or Baba?" She always finds a way. Having overheard a few of my calls, she asked if I was preparing my obituary. No, I'm just trying to determine what I want to do when I grow up. Just need feedback from my friends. Okay, lesson learned again. Silence is golden. Daughter, Christy, favorite quote in clothing, life is good, born with oral facial digital syndrome, has had kidney transplant and both knees replaced. One of the reasons we returned to Harrison, but not the only reason. Lesson in life, how to get the most from people with patience and recognizing their accomplishments. Very often you'll find they have a new and different way to solve a problem, also ways to accept and appreciate their lives. Not surprising to people who grew up in the Ozarks country, listening is extremely important for global business development. Harrison, great treatment of international business visitors, risk of business suicide if it hadn't been. Like, celebrate, support, love, insightful, funny. Comment, 7 comments. Mamun Mahi. My name Mamun Mahi. I'm professional digital marketer. I have a 3 years experience in this sector, so I have a very experience about Facebook, Google, and SEO marketing. 2Y, Mithu Ahmed, Amazon FBA wholesale and dropshipping expert. 2Y, Sanjoy Dutta, network technician in Sigma Byte computers or cabling, CCTV installation. 2Y, I am a job seeker, 10 years of experience in data cabling and networking field. Rekha Verma Chauhan, CEO at InfoCentroid Software Solutions PVT Ltd, or leadingandlisting.com, or business event planner or expert in lead generation and digital marketing for entrepreneurs. 2Y, nice post. See more comments. To view or add a comment, more articles by Blair. Creating a world technology leader in the Ozarks. Not impossible, but very, very hard. February 21st, 2024, creating a world technology leader in the Ozarks. Not impossible, but very, very hard. Above is multi-million-dollar Beckham Cave near to my home. Remodeled by multimillionaire John Hay. You were one step from making it very, very big. February 4th, 2024, you were one step from making it very, very big. I get it, it's the journey, not the destination. However, when later told by a leading industry analyst, you were one. The Real Field of Dreams and Building a Better Mousetrap, January 19th, 2024. The Real Field of Dreams and Building a Better Mousetrap. It's not about becoming a billionaire, it's about leaving $1 billion legacy. Or if you prefer the quality in CC, Harrison Deja Vu all over again, December 10th, 2023. Harrison Deja Vu all over again. Catch the latest hashtag Finding Your Happy Place. How and why state, regional, and national media, mainstream, and social keep getting. Taylor Swift meets her Waterloo BA and Hell at Rio by failing Latin American marketing. 101 November 20th, 2023. Taylor Swift meets her Waterloo BA and Hell at Rio by failing Latin American marketing. 101 trillion marketing lesson for hashtag Latin America and hashtag people with disabilities. Hashtag Parkinson's and Parkinson.org. Summer 2023 was the first iMovie made using TikTok. October 30th, 2023. First iMovie made using TikTok movie is available now on Vimeo as well as YouTube. Easy to use CC.